Hey, good morning, neighbors and friends. Here's an interesting recent advisory by the FDA. Frozen shrimp imported from PT Bahari Makmur Sajati is in violation of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. FDA's investigation is ongoing. Certain imported frozen shrimp from Indonesian firm. Stores affected. So below it says no products with cesium have been allowed into this country. So what that means is somewhere at ports of entries or somewhere along the supply chain our food is being tested for radioactive materials. Now I could go on about stories of where we do that. And for good reason. Nuclear testing caused us to test sea fish, and we still do. Radioactive cobalt. Cobalt 90, I believe, was found in cigarettes in Russia that came from Vietnam. That's typically released in metals processing, foundry work. Most likely contamination source. Then biological uptake brings it up into organic products. Usually vegetation will accumulate these materials as it grows, and then along comes an animal, and an animal bites on that and chews on it and swallows it, and it accumulates somewhere in the animal's organs. Depending on what it is, cesium tends to go to bones. Cesium also likes the heart. These are some things we know if you actually do your research, right? That old story. So yeah, Cesium-137. About the only way you get Cesium-137 is through either mining operations. It gets released into the environment. Actually, mining and purification. So there's not many places these isotopes can come from. And we have a good idea where they come from. There are signatures. It's like genetics almost as to where these things can come from. They're typically salts. They have other molecules attached to them and other trace elements that come along with that. So we know. So what do we do about this? This comes from probably nuclear fuel or nuclear weapons processing. Commercial nuclear fuel. This current government regime is fast-tracking nuclear reactors, which means more nuclear components out in the environment. Now mind you, this conversation's huge. This could be medical. This could be mining operations, drilling operations. Oil field uses a lot of detectors for these minerals, these elements, because of their value, because of their risks. It has to do with where they have to dump waste from drilling operations, how they have to do it. But that's another story again. But this is all available online. You can argue about trusted sources, but typically the government was pretty good about this. So what do you think? What would have happened if Doji had gotten a hold of this bit of information? I don't know. We don't know. It's important that institutions work, government or private. They work within the confines and the rules that we know about. So yeah. Yep, there's some risks out there, and we're creating more of them. We have DEI hires heading federal agencies meant to protect and serve, and some of these agencies, like the EPA, were created by a Republican. Go figure. For damn good reasons. And that work hasn't stopped, because industry needs rules, guidelines, constraints, and the threat of legal suits. We can argue about hiding in corporate liability. We can argue about hiding in techno crap and quantum woo, and it comes down to how money moves through an economy, doesn't it? And that's where we're all hosed right now. Renew your golf club membership. Peace out, folks. It's been some nice weather here.